Nicola Vella, a true leader in Tahitian football. He's got a reputation as something of a hothead. It's well deserved, unfortunately. But he does add something extra to the side when he's on top of his game. He led Tahiti to the OFC Nations Cup title in 2012 and did the same with his country in Brazil.
What experience, playing against the world champions.
Yes, and although the results weren't perhaps what people in Oceania or Tahiti were after, it was nevertheless fascinating to see Tahiti perform on the world stage. Certainly creates an incentive for youngsters who want to see themselves playing there one day.
I think a lot has been created here in Fiji by Roy Krishna's progress.
So free kick wound in. It's not a very good one, it has to be said. Simon wins the header back. This is Kugonia. Looking for Gralia. Saleh read that well. Chance. And the deflection of Dordovic will be resulting in a corner.
It's interesting, Gordon, to see the AS Dragon side playing long balls into the Amical side, whereas Amical are using their midfield to get the through passes in. Of course, they're probably playing with the assistance of a breeze in this half where they're defending.
Yes, quite right. Quite right. It was a feature of yesterday's games as well, the number of long balls that were played, somewhat unusually. But a chance for Dragon. They've stockpiled at the near post. They've got a touch on it. There is a shot, and an easy one for Chico Mansale.
He's quite an experienced goalkeeper also, Chico Mansale.
Yes, I remember watching him play in a match for Vanuatu against the All Whites back in 2007 in the 2010 cycle. And Vanuatu almost turned the All Whites over, and Mansale
he did have a good game.
Yeah,
he had a great game.
Alvin Teho. This is Samuel Nainene. Clipped forward. That's a good run by Jonathan Teho. Teanui Teho is in the box. So is Gralia. Saleh. Vasilic. Wetney. And Vasilic not interested in that one. And this is what we talked about.
Yeah.
Just how well and how quickly would they gel. Karuin. Colin Marshall intercepts. Scottish right back. Vasilic. And Dominic Fred's given that up too easily. Karuin. Valla. Well, Valla has played in the French second division earlier in his career. Hoist this ball forward. It's a long ball that you talked about, Raymond, and it's come straight back at them with Amicale. Now, Dominic Fred in a foot race with Tiata Simon, who does well. Oh, and that was so close. Roche. Karuin. Jonathan Teho. Foul, clear foul. Swami snapping away at his heels.
Oh, his dad was trying to get him to play for the Nandi side while he was with Amical. Probably wanting to play for a home side, but it didn't quite eventuate. I think Nandi had players already in that area in midfield.
So Mikael Roche with the free kick. This should be Djordovic's ball all day. It is. Whitney picks it up halfway in his own half. Dominic Fred. Well, he's got something on it, and Tiata Simon trying to retrieve the situation. Fred. Wound in. It's not a bad ball. Roche, strong and confident, comes to claim. Gralia. Jonathan Teho. Teanui Teho. We haven't seen too much of him yet. Alvin Teho. For Teanui. Intercepted well by Nelson Saleh. Well, Nelson Saleh is another player that has seen and done almost everything in Oceanian football. We'll come back to that.
Yeah, he's been around too for quite some time too. And interesting, they dropped Alec Maimai for disciplinary reasons, who was another experienced player in the Champions League, the number of games he's played.
Yes, exactly. Alec Maimai, something of a firebrand, and unfortunately for fans of Amicale, he's fallen foul of the team disciplinary schedule, and he's not here in Fiji. Two other players, in fact, who...
yeah, one is a Fiji player, Prenya Mendrova, he's back in the country also.
Yeah. Marshall, well played. Fred. Well, just a bit casual. They haven't been punished for it. Now Marshall. Well, Pierre Cagogne took matters into his own hands there. That was a clear foul. Colin Marshall, this is going to interest him. The last coach Colin Marshall played under was Ozzy Ardiles, the
yeah,
former
Argentinian,
World Cup
yeah.
Yeah, 1978.
Spurs.
And Tottenham Hotspur. So, a three-man wall for Mikael Roche. Nikola Vasilic is standing over the ball. Dominic Fred has pulled wide to the right, as you can see at the bottom of the picture. And Marko Dordovic is forward with David Taloni. Jack Whitney's in there. And look at that, it's
And we talked earlier that the understanding will be a key factor in understanding these the players from the Serbian players in this with the local players.
Yes, it's always difficult to bring players in and get them to gel quickly.
It's interesting, Gordon, if you look at the formation now, they have moved into the top end, the circle area, and there's no one spreading out onto the flanks to receive the long balls.
Here's Sakama. Well, Francois Sakama has been around for some time as well in Vanuatu football. Jonathan Teho, oh, that's a cheeky touch from Jonathan Teho, and effective. That's an infringement spotted. Nelson Saleh being talked to by his compatriot Gerald Oyaka. Dragon on the ball through Jonathan Teho. That's not a bad ball, and well, it needed to be headed back across goal, but even if it had have been, there was nobody in a blue shirt on hand to take advantage of it.
It's interesting that a lot of teams are still playing with a two-striker formation, whereas you saw the Bar side had three. They've changed it just recently, having three strike force from the two that they normally had.
Taloni's made a run forward. Sakama on the ball. Taloni can't get there. Yannick Vero's won the header. Well, AS Dragons' campaign last season was a real mixed bag. They set about the two New Zealand clubs, Waitakere and Auckland, with some success, it must be said. A draw with Waitakere, a draw with Auckland, and then a win over Auckland in Auckland, which takes some doing. But it all fell apart against Mondor. Here's Vasilic. Well, Amicale just overcooking the broth there. Dordovic's header. Taken on the chest by Whitney. And he could run at Karaween here. Oh, that's a good ball. Chance. Oh, that's
lovely
a good goal.
That's a lovely goal.
Francois Sakama draws first blood for Amicale.
That's a lovely through ball, wasn't it?
Oh, and the chief architect was Jack Whitney. And you can hear that the Vanuatu supporters loved everything they saw about it. Nathan Hall is off his bench, the Amicale coach. Well, we talked about Amicale perhaps struggling to gel, but they certainly gelled there.
Well, the Island boys gelling really well, but a great timely ball from Jack Whitney.
Some finish by Francois Sakama. Here's Gralia. Can Dragon strike back early? They've got themselves a corner. Well, Sakama was also on the score sheet against the All Whites during the last FIFA World Cup qualifiers. He scored in Wellington. It was a 4-1 defeat for Vanuatu that day. But he's just got that knack of coming up with the right stuff in international football. Punched away by Mansale. Kugonya. Colin Marshall in pursuit. Hits the back of Taloni. And that was rather aimless. So Amicale, can they match the achievements of their countrymen and pop up with an opening OFC Champions League group win?
Every game in this particular pool is crucial for every team, isn't it? This is full of death.
Well, it's quite funny because you talk to anybody involved with Bar, Tafea and and the teams in that group, and they'll tell you they think they've got the group of death. But you're quite right, Raymond. This group contains some very, very good sides. Now, Sakama against Yannick Vero. Vasilic has made a run into the box, and this time Vero gets the better of Sakama. Yes, this group with Nandi, one of the co-host clubs, 5 times champions, Auckland City.
So every game in this pool will be important. So a win what we talked about, a win in the first game is always important for each of these teams here in this first day for them in this particular pool.
Absolutely. Here's Sakama. Whips in the cross. Headed away comfortably by Valar. Swami's taken a swipe at the ball. Alvin Teho finds Teanui against Saleh. Well, Saleh's been playing with Amicale for the past 2 or 3 seasons, but he's also had spells in New Zealand football with Young Heart Manawatu and Auckland City. Very brief spell with Auckland, it must be said, but he's also, of course, played a lot of football in his own country, in the Solomon Islands. One of the most capped players in OFC Champions League history, Nelson Saleh. And also played against the Los Angeles Galaxy in 2008 in an exhibition match.
At Oceania 11?
That's right, yes.
That Oceania 11, yep.
Henry Ferrodo and Alec Maimai also played in that particular game. So, Dordovic on the ball with a free kick. Hoisted in. And that's hit Jonathan Taylor. There's a shot, and Jack Whitney didn't manage to get over the ball. He's hungry for opportunities.
Well, looking at Jack Whitney, these people are futsal players, and they normally keep their shots in accuracy. Playing in the short space in futsal and with the goalmouth in a narrow angle. But that's what happened. That's what didn't happen in that occasion on Whitney.
Karawing. Well, he's played for a foul, and it could be to his team's detriment. Henri Karawing, Whitney taking on Valar. Well. Oh, he showed us a bit of his futsal skills here. Kugonya was on hand to clear from Vasilic. It's still with Sakama. Well, Whitney's fast footwork left Nicola Valar in all sorts of bother.
I think when you look at it, AS Dragon, their midfield, they haven't combined well. They've got the height up front with their strikers up front, but their midfield, and that's where Amical have been plotting from midfield with the through passes on the right. And you've noticed that they've been using the right side of defense for AS Dragon, which looks the easy way for them to come in.
Yes, it's a problem area for AS Dragon midfield. Raimana Lee Funkui, of course, is missing. At least missing in terms of Dragon's interest. He is at AS Pire, but he's left a sizable gap in midfield for Dragon. He combined very effectively last season just in behind the front man, which is Tainui Teho. And it was Lee Funkui playing in there next to Jonathan Teho. And they haven't managed to replace him. Talking to some of the Dragon management, you know, they felt that their domestic season was affected by that. They surrendered their title to Pire, and talking to Amical Roche, the goalkeeper, he said to me that the number of times they hit the woodwork this season might well go into Tahitian domestic football record books.
We have a saying here: once you hit the crossbar, that's not your day, and you're not going to make it.
Well, Mansale's in trouble. Well, that was some eccentric goalkeeping by Chico Mansale. Came out to punch and then thought he would have a dabble with his forehead. Sylvain Gralia, good turn from him. Can he take on Marshall? He's got a corner for AS Dragon. So Nikola Vasilic is funneling his way back in to do some defending. Jack Whitney's gone up top for Amicale on his own. And I wonder if we'll see Dragon pack that near post. They did that with their first corner.
They've got tall players coming up and for the corner kicks.
Yes, and it looks like Pierre Kukonya is going to the far post. He's been picked up by Nunga Lether, I think. Jonathan Teho with a couple of runs. It goes into the far post. Easily won by Amicale. Now Whitney. Valar stays forward. That's a good ball by Valar. The cross is a good one. Tainui Teho just got there slightly too early. Gralia. Headed away by Swami. Good spell this for Dragon. Swami's won it back and he's conceded a free kick. Gralia looked to take it early. Sylvain Gralia, and here's some measure of how far Dragon have come. Sylvain Gralia could hardly get a game for AS Dragon last season, and he finds himself starting here, playing on the left-hand side, favourite side of Raimana Lee Funkui. So Tiata Simon is standing over the ball. Chico Mansale has two players in a wall. Swami will break should the ball go to Nayane. How will Amicale deal with this? It's a good ball in. Mansale wasn't really put under pressure by Dragon.
Wasn't challenged at all.
Now Taloni, the Australian left back, bombing forward for Amicale. He's got Sakama ahead of him. Sakama on side, whipped in. Vela, oh, and he's conceded a corner and there was no communication.
Not at all, not at all.
So Dragon just struggling to find their feet here.
It's interesting also when Amicale broke out, a number of AS Dragon players that were backpedaling, they were short in numbers in defense also.
Yes, and be interesting to see how this corner plays out. They have had three runners attacking the 6-yard box and then one who peels off late. Is that going to happen here? Oh, and a chance for Whitney. He doesn't get a clean hit on it. Taloni with his left foot. There's a header on target and an easy save, a regulation save for Mika Roche.
Well, they're pushing Marco up front a lot in the set place.
Well, he stands at 185 centimetres, Marko Dordovic.
Good size for a central defender.
Absolutely.
It'd be interesting. Ivan Veselic is about Auckland City side?
Yes, yeah, he's in that vicinity.
Also.
I think the feature of Ivan Viselic's aerial game is his timing.
Yeah, and he scored some good goals for the Auckland City side from those set plays.
So, Dragon trailing Amicale by a goal to nil. We're on the half-hour mark. Growlier got a decent touch on it, but again, it's all rather disjointed. Well, Ivan Viselic, 1 metre 93.
A bit taller than him, eh?
Well won by Karaween. Now, that's not a bad ball from Vasilic. Karaween had to do some defending against Dominique Fred. Colin Marshall gets forward to take this throw. Well, the temperature up in Bar yesterday was 30 degrees centigrade. It's about 30 degrees here.
Yeah, it's about the same today too.
But you were saying to us earlier that the heat here in Lautoka is
it's quite different to the heat down in the southern side, in Suva side. It's you know, in Suva you probably have you got a heat, but you got a breeze with it most of the time, so it's not as hot as what it is here, and it's kind of sticky.
Yeah,
you know, heat.
yeah.
So the humidity is quite high here, and you know, when you think of the players that are playing out there, we have tournaments here in Fiji also, you know, and these sort of things. They play 4 or 5 days in a row in this sort of heat.
Yes, your comment about the humidity is well made. Just checking on the humidity count for today here in Lautoka. It's about 65% humidity. Yesterday in Bar it was sitting at around 50%.
We always crack a joke. You put an egg on the roadside, you don't need any heat. The heat itself would fry the egg.
Colin Marshall with some improvised defending. Well, Inaine put an arm on that, and Gerald Oyaka was...
Interesting, we got 2 red cards too yesterday.
Yes, and one of them to Tuamasi
Tamuda, yeah.
And disappointing way to go for Tuamasi, given that he's got such a rich history of playing here.
Yeah, he's one of the more experienced Fiji players playing in the Champions League also.
Yes, 33 appearances for Tuamasi Manutha in the OFC Champions League. Here's Karaween. Played wide for Yannick Vero. Samuel Inaine. Clipped in, headed away by Saleh. Karaween. Well, a chance for Amicale to break with Whitney. Dominic Fred is steaming up on the right-hand side. He's got Vasilic to his left. Dominic Fred in the box, checks onto the left foot and miscues completely the shot. A let-off for AS Dragon. And the other side of the coin for Amicale. Counter-attack by Dragon. Tayanui giving chase to Marko Djordjevic. Pumped forward. And now with Kugonya. Well, the pace of this match, understandably slow, given the conditions.
It's interesting, Jack Whitney is playing an attacking midfielder while Sivam Swami is a defensive sort of midfielder, and every time Jack Whitney gets the ball, there's some great moves by him.
Yes, he's the type of player who drifts into pockets and looks to exploit opponents on the counter-attack. And meanwhile, Nikola Vasilic has gone down. It was a crunching tackle. The other Serbian player in the Amicale squad, Milan Matic, is on the bench today. And just looking down that list, Silas Namatak, Robert Tom, they're all very experienced local players.
Yeah, Robert Tasso. Tasso played here in Fiji for Rewa.
Here's Karaween, who only joined the squad late. Remember, some of these players do have day jobs. Some have been unable to get time off work to fit perfectly with the tournament. They have been arriving in dribs and drabs over the past couple of days. Bertrand Kai arrived for AS Magenta yesterday, but not in time to take part in their match with Bar. How they could have used him. Former OFC Player of the Year in 2011 and top goal scorer at the South Pacific Games also in 2011 when New Caledonia won that tournament. Dordovic. Vasilic. Well, he showed too much of the ball to Kagonya and gives up possession.
Hey, last season's Champions League top goal scorer Sunny Issa still hasn't got the clearance, otherwise he would be featuring here also for Amical.
Absolutely. He's a key figure, or he was for Bar last season. 9 goals in 8 Champions League games for Sunny Issa, but there were immigration complications which have meant that he hasn't arrived with Amicale. Another player, Fenedy Masavakalo, was approached by Nathan Hall to take part in this competition. And Masavakalo is currently in New Zealand. He's a former Golden Boot winner in the OFC Champions League, Masavakalo.
Yep.
And when you're missing Sunny Issa and Fenedy Masavakalo, that's a lot of goals. Masavakalo has scored, I think, 14, and with Issa's 9, it's 23 goals between them, and they're not here. Throw my mind into the mix too.
Yeah, they're missing a lot of experienced fellas out there, the 3 of them out of the Amical side. But I think when you look at it, the Oceania teams are taking this Champions League very, very seriously in the sense of the victory, wanting to go across to the World Club Championship. And Amical is an example of bringing in a host of players from outside.
Quite right. Of course, the high watermark for the FIFA Club World Cup was Auckland City's performance in 2009 when they finished 5th. It's a very difficult tournament for the Oceania champions to be competitive in, taking on full-time professional clubs.
But it's a good exposure, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yes. You take into account the effect that it's had on the career of Albert Riera and Roy Krishna most latterly, and there are a number of other players who have played in recent times have gone on to secure professional contracts, but we'll come back to that point. Dragon have a corner. Again. Oh, and it's a chance for Dragon. They couldn't take advantage of it. Now, on the counter-attack, Colin Marshall. Well, this is broken kindly for Tainui Teho, but the touch was awful, the first touch. Nelson Saleh mops up for Amicale. So, Tiata Simon playing in a shirt that was more recently worn by Vincent Simon. Actually failed a drugs test at the FIFA Confederations Cup for flu medication. Vincent Simon, and was suspended as a result. He's obviously not involved here. But Tiata, who's on the ball now, linking up with Tainui Teho. Now, a free kick.
Will we see that here in the Champions League tests?
Well, that's a question we have to put to Michael Song, the competitions coordinator.
Because this tournament is getting bigger and bigger.
Absolutely. You look at the size of this competition and the logistics around it, it's bigger than the OFC Nations Cup in terms of the match program. 18 games in 9 days, and then 2 home and away semi-finals and a home and away final.
A lot of games out there, but it is in the point that we're saying that some of the Fiji teams are playing this 90-minute football now. They've taken away the 60-minute tournaments that we've had. The last one was last year, and that's going to be an advantage to any team playing in this Champions League.
Tiata Simon with the free kick, and it's an awful effort. He should have a look at himself. And you can you can hear the displeasure from the Vanuatu supporters. Good header by Kigonia.
Sabas played in New Zealand before he went across to Amical, also in Wairarapa, up in Wellington.
Ah, yes.
It's a club that a lot of super players go to.
Whitney. Good defending from Kigonia. Yes, Wairarapa United have, over the last few years, signed a number of players from around Oceania. Sil Soroman was one, Stanley Waiata, Solomon Islands International, and then, as you say, Raymond, a clutch of Solomon Islands players, and they did win the Chatham Cup a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, Peter Rambo, who was acting as an assistant coach, also is back in the country, playing for the Super side. Some disciplinary measures also. Typical footballer.
Yes, Peter Rambo was a big part of that Wairarapa side that performed so well in the Central Leagues of New Zealand's regional competitions. Oh, the flag's gone up. Vasilich thought all his Christmases had come at once, but he was a good couple of yards offside.
There's a Vanuatu player that's playing there. I think at the moment with them is Solomon Sure. He played for the Suva side, and from Suva's connection, he went across there. I think the guy that's the president or the club owner has a lot of connection with a taxi-based guy in Suva. And he's the one that recommends which player. Now they've got Apisai Smith, just gone in this transfer window to them.
Of course, he played in the age group setup.
Yep.
Yes. Here's Marshall with a throw. And it looks like foul throw's called. Gralia wants to get things underway for Dragon. Here's Valar. Tries to pop one over for Jonathan Teho, who's muscled his way onto the ball.
It'll be interesting in the second half also, with Amical coming with the breeze, Gordon, in the second half with that 1-0 lead, if they do keep that in the next 4 or 5 minutes.
Well, the last Tahitian club to make it to the final of the OFC Champions League was AS Tefana. And remarkable story there. They were thumped 10-0 by Waitakere United in the first game, and then very nearly took out the whole competition. Oh, and Mansale was flapping at it. He was rooted to the spot, the goalkeeper. Fred gets a touch on it. It's broken kindly for Gralia. And it's another corner for Dragon. Oh, a goal kick. Well, I'm not sure about that. Unless I'm in desperate need of contact lenses, which might be the case. Well, the referees are being instructed at this tournament by former English Premier League referee Steve Bennett, and Mark Hester, the head of refereeing at the Oceania Football Confederation, is also here. Sharing the same hotel, I can tell you that these referees are working very, very hard.
Yeah, saw them in a meeting early this morning, and he was laying the law down to them.
Yes, they underwent a very rigorous fitness test just prior to the start of this tournament, and we see them often having recovery sessions in the hotel pool and taking walks together. Tainui was given that away. Vasilich first touch was a bit heavy. Karaween has got a deflection and it's a throw.
We haven't seen any cards in this game so far. He's allowed to let the game flow, which is good for football, without seeing any yellow cards. And that's an area of concern, as I was talking to the bar president yesterday, the yellow cards, because when you go into the cards carry on into the semi-finals also, if they do make it up to that far.
Yes, it can come back to haunt you. Cautions that are picked up in group play. it's going to seriously test the depth and quality of some of these squads. Although I felt when in yesterday's game, Raymond Ganemba and Nigel Davinyaba made a really big impression.
Yeah, he did. And that's a key area in what you just said a while ago, is the depth on the bench, and that's an important area for this team.
So 1 minute of additional time minimum to be played in the first half. Amicale, 1 goal to the good, courtesy of Francois Sakama. And this broadcast, of course, is brought to you by Vodafone Courts and Sports World, big supporters of the Fiji FA and the OFC Champions League. Well, there's Nicola Vella showing the worst side of his character. He didn't need to do that. And Vasilic is unhappy. Gerald Oyak is going to have a word. He's drawn out Nicola Vasilic and Nicola Vella. And Mikael Roche performing something of, yes, a yellow card for both. Vella should know much better than that. He's been under constant scrutiny by referees throughout his career. And it looks as though Nikola Vasilic might have just flicked out with his boot and caught Tiata Simon on the finger, which is what led to
him coming across and
yeah.
Well, it happens in the heat too.
Well, it partially explains yesterday's red card scenarios in both matches. Ludovic Wakanumene was the other player who was sent off from AS Magenta in the match with Bar and Tuamasi Manutha of Hikari in their defeat against Tafao. Well, Gerald Oyak brings the first half to a close. It's good news for Amicale and their supporters. Not so good for AS Dragon. Rejoin us after the break. We'll have more OFC Champions League action for you very shortly. Back to Churchill Park in Lautoka. The two teams are just coming back onto the park. And a reminder of the score. Amicale 1, AS Dragon 0, courtesy of Francois Sakama goal. Let's take a look back at the first half highlights. 8th minute was when the action got really interesting. That ball from Colin Marshall's free kick, it just hung up in the air. And Francois Sakama attacked it but didn't get any purchase. 3 minutes later, AS Dragon, one of their first corners. This shot was easily picked up by Chika Mansale. 17th minute, Jonathan Tejo clipping this pass in for Gralia. And he decided he was going to have a go at goal. There was no angle to work with and, of course, no danger for Mansale. A minute later, this move, wonderful pass from Jack Whitney, and the finish from Francois Sakama was absolutely superb. You can see how he got round the back of his opponent, and then that left foot shot rifled into the top of the net. Amical Roche didn't have much of a chance with it. Whitney was in the action again. Absolutely sizzling footwork here against Nicola Valla, and Kugonia on hand to protect Dragon 6-yard box, but look at that step over. Four minutes later, Dragon hoisted this ball in. Nobody challenging the goalkeeper. Didn't even have to jump for it. And you can see from Mansale's body language that he wasn't too impressed with his defenders either. So Raymond, 1-0 to Amicale. How do you see this match unfolding over the next 45 minutes?
Well, Amical will have the advantage of being to the right of our screen this afternoon in the second half here, and I think the AS Dragon side, they need to tighten their midfield, because the midfield play by Amical in the first half looked really good. And and in this, whether they will change their tactics in floating long balls in for their striker Nikola Vasilic. So that'll be an interesting change of tactics if Amical do apply that. I think Colin Marshall will be more involved in this, because if you look at this field itself too, it has a slight slope, and those that defend to the right of our screen there certainly have the advantage in the second half. So I feel that Amical will still continue from that first half here, but mistakes from the AS Dragon side need to be minimized if they are going to put anything in to this game.
Yannick Vero. Yes, Dragon are going to have to find something from deep within to overturn this disadvantage. Karaween wins it off Jack Whitney, tries to clip a pass forward for Teanui Teho. Mansale. Marshall. Dominique Fred. Tiata Simon with the throw. Niane. Samuel Niane's cross, and Chico Mansale was just caught in two minds about whether or not that was heading towards the top right hand corner of his goal. Flacked at it. Well, this back four for Amicale looks as though it's gelling quite nicely.
Yeah, the understanding's coming into the game now. That's the first full probably match together now, and we can see, as you said, they're gelling in well now. But not by that stance, and they gave away that.
No, Dordovic guilty of a foul, but as a collective, they've certainly looked solid enough. You can see here, Alvin Teho taken out of the play.
Sivam Swami.
So the opening moments of the second half, it's the match between Amicale and Dragon. Club from Vanuatu, 1-0 up. So, Chico Mansale sets up a three-man wall, and they've packed themselves into that penalty area. Four players from Dragon in and around the D. Dordovic is back. Vasilic is back. Oh, and it wasn't too bad. That deflection could have gone anywhere. It's gone out for a corner.
Amicale had everyone back inside the box. Now you see Whitney just moving away, but they've got numbers back in there.
Nice curvature on the free kick from Niane, and the header. As I say, it could have ended up anywhere. So Dragon continuing to pursue this tactic of near post corners. Looking to try and get Alvin Tejo to get a flick on this. Dordovic wins it. Here's Marshall. Fred. Kikkoff gets a head on it, only as far as an Amical player. Now, Sakama wandered into an offside position. He's checked himself. Marshall releases Fred down the right. The cross. Valar gets a touch. Now Sakama.
Ooh.
Well, he does take some inordinate risks. Nicola Valar. Taloni, well, it's a poor throw.
Checkley went up.
So there's some activity down on the Amicale bench.
Yeah, I think
Could be preparing for a substitution. Nathan Hall has spent most of the afternoon sat in the dugout. He's out on the edge of the technical area at the moment. Dordovic with the defending from Niane. Away by Saleh. Dominic Fred. Well, he's going to use his pace. Dominic Fred cuts back inside. Exchange with Wetney. Good tackle from Pierre Kikkoff. Brilliant tackle. But he's given it away. So he does all the hard work and then puts his team under pressure. Now a chance for AS Dragon to break. It's Sylvain Galia taking on Saleh. And Saleh, the veteran and master, comes up with the ball. The skipper with some inspirational defending.
you've seen that in the second half, as we said, that if they cut down their mistakes, the AS Dragon side, and they're actually pushing the game into the Amical half in this second half that probably has gone just into the early stages, 5 minutes or so, but certainly the Amical side backpedaling a bit compared to that first half also.
Yannick Vero. Good cross. Free header. Not on target. Well, Dragon just struggling to create some clear-cut chances for themselves. Some frustration down on the bench, but look at the cross. It wasn't bad.
It was a good cross.
And the marking, and you can see Colin Marshall saying, look,
Yeah,
we've got to get tighter.
he wasn't happy with that free cross coming in with a free header.
Simon. Niane loses out to Saleh. And a chance for Amicale. Good covering from Nicola Valar. Caroin. Still Caroin. Tries a switch of play for Alvin Tejo. Up against Taloni. He's going to need some support. It's arrived late. Gralia, the shot. Wide from Tayanui Tejo. Well, more encouraging signs for the Tahitians.
Yep, yeah, that's what we did say in the early part of the second half. They got to cut out their mistakes as we look at it again.
Well, look, you have to do better. The marking wasn't so tight again.
You could see Mansal not at all happy with his defenders on that occasion also.
Well, Tayanui Tejo gets hauled up, much to the ire of this significant support here from Vanuatu. They've travelled all the way up from Suva in their numbers. It'd be a good couple of hundred here today.
A lot of them probably missed their classes also. Lectures, I would have missed lectures. That's
Yeah.
how crazy football is in Vanuatu. Yeah.
I think you'll find that university students the world over don't need to be too easily convinced of the merits of missing a lecture to see a sports fixture. I speak from personal experience.
Yeah, just talking to that Vanuatu commentator yesterday, he was talking about when there's a football match, don't need to look at sponsors. Sponsors come to you. That's how crazy they are in Vanuatu. Likewise in Solomons too. Then they have that sort of following. It's just unfortunate that the disaster that they've had.
Yes, an absolutely horrible happenstance in the Solomons. Yellow card for Alvin Tejo. Some frustration starting to creep into this Dragon side. 10,000 homeless and countless missing in Honiara and the Solomon Islands at present. The man to your right is from the Solomons, the referee, Gerald Oyaka. And we certainly wish everybody in the Solomon Islands community all the very best as they come to terms with what's happened and try to begin
Their lives again.
Task of recovery.
Yep.
Here's Dordovic.
To talk about floods, ask the Nandi side that will be featuring
yes.
against Auckland. Every time there's a saying here that every time they have rain, there's always fear in the Western Division, especially the floods that we've experienced here in Nandi and Ba is all right. They've had some dredging, but Nandi still the fear is always there when there's heavy downpour.
So AS Dragon just starting to flex their muscles here. They need to find some way of pulling this one goal deficit back. Will it come from Jonathan Tejo? Well, he tried to be cute and play it through to Teanui. Dordovic.
Be interesting too in the latter part of this game, Gordon, how the heat has taken effect on some of these players and what the coaching staff will do, replacements to key areas to do replacements.
Yes, Ludovic Graugnard, the coach of AS Dragon, has got some options to turn to. Edson Lemaire has often been the go-to man for bolstering his midfield. But in terms of striking options, there isn't too much on that bench. As we see this free kick wound in, there isn't too much on the AS Dragon bench in terms of pace or attacking quality. It's all out there already. And Teanui Tejo, Sylvain Gralia and Samuel Nanine. Here is Nanine in your picture with the left leg strapped. So the target, the near post, and the goalkeeper. Vasilic gets a header on it. Oh, hint of handball, a shot, and it's another corner.
Yeah, Amicale sort of quietened down in the second half.
Well, they can't afford to.
They can't afford to.
Just this one goal lead. Here's another look at Nanine's corner. It was Kugonya who was underneath it. He won the ball and then managed to pull off a shot. There was some debate about whether that hit Teanui on the way out last. As the corner's wound in. Mansala slaps at it. Vasilic. Well, there's an appeal for a penalty. It's falling on deaf ears. Long range shot. Karawin earns a corner. So a spate of corners for AS Dragon. Belief is growing in the Tahitian camp.
It's just that their finishing in front of the goal hasn't been as perfect as they would have liked it to be.
Well, that's what they were shouting for. Vasilic raised his left leg and then his opponent just fell to the ground. So, is this the moment for AS Dragon? Whipped into the far post this time. Oh, and the header. Straight at Mansale. Valar mistimes his attempted interception. Jonathan Tejo. Yannick Vero can travel with this ball. Nanine. And slip by Alvin Tejo. Langaletha. Taloni. Well, Dragon have pressed high in search of possession. Good header from Vero. Sakama, excellent ball. Whitney is free on the left. He's got Fred and Vasilic in the centre. Still going, Whitney. Good block by Valar. Fred's battling away for it. Valar clears. Panic stations for AS Dragon. Amicale suddenly burst to life. They've lain dormant for the last 5 or 6 minutes or so. And now you can hear the Vanuatu support getting right behind them. Marshall. Saleh. Simon, difficult one for Roche. He's coped with it quite well. Taloni's header. Marshall hoists the ball high into the box and Roche has missed it completely. Well, he could have ended up very embarrassed there, Raymond.
Yeah. All of a sudden they've woken up and you can see Jack Whitney complaining a bit. I think let's have a look at that cross again.
Roche's timing.
Yeah.
All out of kilter. Sakama. Desperate challenge by Yannick Vero. Jack Whitney's injured, Raymond.
Yeah,
he's hobbling.
Hobbling is staying on his right side. It's like a pull muscle probably when he collided with Roche.
Cutaway. Well, Amicale starting to rise to this support. "61 minutes gone, Amicale 1, AS Dragon 0. Francois Sakama, the goal scorer.
Looks as if Amicale's gonna bring someone on.
Well, I mentioned that Edson Lemaire was the go-to guy, and that's where Ludovic Granier has gone. Edson Lemaire is going to come on, and Samuel Nanine is withdrawn. So Lemaire looks as though he's slotting into left back.
Yeah, the left side.
Tiata Simon has been pushed further forward on the right-hand side. Here he is here, Tiata Simon. Dorovic. Goal kick. Well, the other match in this group that takes place today and live on this channel is Auckland City versus Nandi. Nandi back in the Champions League after 15 years of waiting.
Well, they played in the first finals against the Melbourne side.
Tainui. Alvin Tejo. Yes, quite right. South Melbourne way back in 1999. Way by Taloni. Sakama. Gralia. Can he set himself? Well, not quite. Yes, Nandi, of course, played Central United in the semi-finals in that tournament 15 years ago, which is the feeder club for Auckland City, and they won that game.
And one of the players that played in there, his son will be featuring for the Nandi side later on this afternoon. He will be on the right side of either an attacking right back or a midfielder. His name is Tico My America, staying in America, as they translated to you. Yeah, he's Vinidi. His dad was Kini Tumbi. He was the sweeper for the Nandi side at that time. So the son in for where the father now.
Well, that final 15 years ago was played at Prince Charles Park.
Okay, yeah.
And there was some big crowd there.
Big crowd there, yeah, it was. Yeah. I think that was a great year because that was the introduction of the league itself, and I think from there people took it a bit lightly. But now when you see in our local scene here, everybody's fighting for that first position, and they know that that's great exposure, experience, and of course comes with it monetary gain if you do well.
That's right. Vasilic with a good chest down for Dominique Fred. That's come up with AS Dragon. Vero. Simon making a run down this right hand side. Taloni in pursuit. Vero. And a free kick. Swami, the guilty party. And Oyaka produces a yellow card.
He had been warned earlier in the first half. Two of his tackles were of similar style.
I just caught him there with the right foot. Swami.
It's New South Wales football style.
So 25 minutes of this match to go. AS Dragon have lifted their performance a few notches.
Just the finishing letting them down?
Yes, so far. Simon winds it in and the header from Yannick Vero.
The set plays in the second half from AS Dragon, Gordon. The Amical defenders are not coming to meet the ball, and that's why we've seen Dragon create so many chances, but it's only the finishing that they're probably going to have a look at this replay if they're going to watch this later on, that they probably would need to work on.
Here's Saleh. Also played for the Solomon Islands against the Socceroos in a FIFA World Cup playoff back in 2005, and was part of the Solomons team that drew 2-2 with the Socceroos.
That was a great result for them, wasn't it?
It was an absolutely stunning result.
I keep saying to people, you know, if you look at the results like that and where Australia has moved now onto the world stage, and it can be done in Oceania.
Certainly there have been big improvements across the Confederation, but still plenty of room for more. Sakama. Oh, that's a good ball. And Tanguis, the substitute. Goodness me.
Took a bit too long.
He took too long. Well, Kensi Tanguis has a habit of coming on and scoring important goals. He scored the winner for Amicale against Auckland in the OFC Champions League a couple of seasons ago when Amicale won 1-0 in a group match. More or less a dead rubber.
See the substitution starting to come in now.
That was a great ball by Sakama.
Yeah, lovely ball, lovely ball.
Tanguis took a touch.
That moment, just a single moment that he hesitated.
So more action on the sideline. Ludovic Granier is putting in Efren Aneda, and Henri Carouin's afternoon is over. So Amicale with a corner. Marshall takes it. Punch clear by Michael Roche. Saleh, that's a lovely ball by Nelson Saleh. Colin Marshall can measure his delivery. Oh, he does so. And it's just wide.
It's interesting because Esaba was up there and he's pretty good when it comes to set plays from corner kicks. We've seen him score some good goals, and on that occasion again he was there. Just mistimed it himself.
Well, some question marks about Dragon's aerial defending have to be asked. The marking was pretty loose. Tangis. Sakama, well, he was trying to bend that towards Vasilic with the outside of the right foot and was unable to execute it properly. So it's going to be very difficult to recover from an opening day defeat. Just ask Hikari and AS Magenta. Won by Sakama. AS Dragon find themselves staring down the barrel of a defeat here, unless something changes.
Yeah, Magenta and Hikari meet on Thursday afternoon. That should be interesting too. Two teams that lost yesterday.
Well, Nicola Vala's injured. Play has stopped. And an opportunity for the participants to take on some water. So the temperature here in Lautoka is expected to drop.
No, it's gonna be. They said it's gonna be this weather whole of this week. So yeah, it's not expected to drop unless we have afternoon showers. But then it picks up again the next day. That's been the stories after some of those floodings here. That the afternoon showers was getting a bit like Suva. But this is the tough part of the game. It's past the midway mark in the second half, Gordon, and the changes are coming by the two sides here, and it'll be interesting now what the strategy would be for the Dragon side to counter, and likewise for the Amical side, how they're going to hold on to that lead. We saw that again in Bar. Magenta came to them in the second half, similar way, till the last part of the game when Bar got that second goal.
Yes, well, trying to get themselves back into the game is of the highest priority, because Dragon's next match is against Auckland City.
And that's not going to be easy.
No, it's not going to be easy at all. Here's Tangis. Fred. Well, just trying to force the issue there, Nangaletha. Well played. Dragon, Lemaire, Tainui Teho. Oh, and he's gone to ground.
Yeah.
This is going to be a card, I think.
Yeah, it's a professional sort of foul.
And it is a card. Marko Dordovic goes into...
Well and truly beaten.
Yes, he was well and truly beaten. And he did what he could. You can see here, Tainui just tried to...
yeah, he would have been ahead of Saleh
yeah,
for the race, for the ball.
So some anxious looking faces on the Dragon bench.
Still another 20 minutes away. They can get back into the game if they do pull one back.
Yes, there's plenty of time.
And there's also concern on the Amical bench.
Well, Luke Eroy, who in the past has been the first team coach for Amicale, is still part of Nathan Hall's management team. So Yannick Vero. Is this the moment for AS Dragon? They need some X factor to try and haul themselves back. Vero. Oh, and it's over the top, just by a yard or two. Mansale was stretched in his attempt to get it, and I think he's got a little bit of cramp. Wasn't far away.
It wasn't far away, yeah.
Well, this could be an extraordinary situation. Michael Rutherford is the substitute goalkeeper for Amicale.
I think
the
it was played
Australian.
for the Australian goalkeeper. It'll be a big blow if they do lose Mansell.
Yeah, he's had a fairly decent game for Amicale, although he hasn't been severely tested by AS Dragon. I think if Ludovic Craonier looks back on this match, he may have a sense of regret that they didn't make the most of some of their shooting opportunities. Here's another look at the free kick.
From a different angle.
And it's the left calf that is tightened up.
Yeah, that's for that stretch and while he was jumping, and you can see they're coming all down to the bench to get water. It'll be interesting, Gordon, also that the Auckland side, what sort of weather coming out of Auckland into this heat?
Well, the heat will be a factor, there's no doubt about that. The weather in New Zealand over the past, well, the weather in Auckland more particularly over the past 4 months has been very dry. So, and there has been the occasional hot day as well during the ASB Premiership season. So, I think that the way that Auckland City play their football is conducive to doing well in these conditions. But we'll see.
That'll be interesting. That'll be interesting.
Vasilic's header. Tangis. Goal kick, says Oyaka. So the next round of matches in this group scheduled for the 11th of April. Sakama.
Yeah, they're bringing the other Serbian, I think it's
Milan Matic.
Matic.
Here's Kensi Tangis. Saleh. And Sakama's wandering back from an offside position. He's shown only fleeting interest in that ball. Simon. Taloni. Nangaletha. Marshall. Well played by Colin Marshall. David Taloni. Now Vela. Well, Yannick Vero has moved from right back to midfield, and it's had a positive effect on Dragon. Well, Gralia just can't get the ball under control. Away by Mansale. Gonya's won the header cleanly. Now Vero. Tainui Teho. Chipped into the box. Mansale lets it bounce before claiming it. Well, you've got to hand Dragon some credit. They've tried to force the issue here. Going into a match with Auckland City without a win would leave them scrambling for a semi-final spot. Flag goes up.
Yeah, was wanting to come away on the right side and was not released. Yanko Vero had created the space, but you could see the coach yelling at the through ball not going in from the side. There was some space because they were all square in defense for Amical again.
So Nikola Vasilic's afternoon is over. He's being replaced by Milan Matic.
Fresh pairs of leg up front. That's probably what they're looking at.
Well, I just wonder, Raymond, whether or not Matic might sit in midfield and leave Kensi Tangis up on his own. We'll just see how this unfolds.
He has come into this game with a message from the coach, and I think that's what they're going to apply, where they have brought him in and just look for those counter-attacks, and which they're doing, but unfortunately getting caught offside. He's already there for support. So Dragon having another substitution now.
Andre Teki Hakapoko comes on. So an attacking option for AS Dragon. Mikael Roche will pick this up. So both coaches have played their strategic cards. Milo Matic is on for Amicale to perhaps try and plug a few gaps, and Andre Teki Hakapoko is thrown on to try and apply some attacking craft for AS Dragon. They certainly took their Champions League campaign to the last day of the group stage last year, Dragon, but it could almost be over for them before it even starts this time if they lose this match. Kenzie Tungis has thrown himself straight into Nicola Valla, and it looked as though he caught him on the knee.
Saleh has played a good game too today, hasn't he? Been there's the last line of defense for the Amical side. I mean, the defense has not been as perfect in the second half, but Nelson Saleh.
Yes, he has played well. Nelson Saleh. Mansale. Oh! Well,
the assistant referee's keeping his flags down.
That was a good shout for a penalty.
Yep. Yeah.
Hopefully we get
to see that replay again, probably.
Jonathan Tejo straight into Milo Matic.
The supporters not at all happy.
Talk us through this. Penalty?
Yeah, it looks like it because he brought him down. The ball was away from him. Looking at it, Gordon, that Mansal tried for the ball, but he knew that he couldn't quite get to it. Well, a lucky break for the Amical side.
Yes, I've seen them given for less.
Yeah.
Still, very difficult job. Nangaletha. Matic is through. He can seal it for Amicale. Goodness me. Not even on target. Milan Matic. He got round Simon and he left Edison Lemaire for beaten. And the shot, well, here's Matic again. Goodness me.
Yeah, it's getting closer. This last 10 minutes.
Second goal for Amicale would have put them home and dry. Tungis cuts in. If he can get a ball over, he's got two targets waiting. One of them's Matic. Now Nangaletha. Hurried his shot.
I would have thought that Matic would have turned again on that occasion, all that, but he laid it back.
Goodness me. Less than 10 minutes to go. Amicale 1, Dragon 0.
Saleh leading well again.
Yes, I agree with you, Raymond. Nelson Saleh's had a tremendous match for Amicale. He's not the most physical defender you'll ever come across, but he reads the
game very well.
Oh, and Sakama's through. Oh, he's taken out. He's told to get up.
Two crucial decisions in this second half here.
Goodness me, well, 2 shouts for a penalty, 1 in each penalty box. This was the ball that was played through. Sakama nipped in front of Vela. He gets to the ball first.
And he got brought down, yeah.
It's actually a difficult one to call. But
it's similar to what Chico Mansales did up earlier on. This one was more clearer in bringing him down. But like we always say, they have the final say in the middle.
Taloni. Hooked forward. Tiki Hakapoko. Simon winds in the cross. And a throw in for AS Dragon. Well, the tension just being ratcheted up. A yell for a penalty at both ends of the park.
And 2 coaches.
Well, a change coming up. Shivan Swami is removed. Silas Namatak is coming on for Amicale. Looks like a hamstring.
Yeah.
Simon rolls his foot over the ball, delivers. Saleh. Tiki Hakapoko with a shot, and it's off target. It's been the story of Dragons Day, hasn't it?
This afternoon, yeah. Again, you having a look at that again as Saleh cleared that away. He covered well, but the shot that time, well, we've seen better ones than that one.
Well, Mansale's going into the book for time
yeah,
wasting.
Time wasting, yep. Marika Mandingi got that yesterday in the bar game. Taking time to take his corner kick.
Well, clearly the referees have been instructed to keep an eye on that situation. We're in the 84th minute. Amicale 1, AS Dragon 0. OFC Champions League 2014 group stage in Group B, the opening match. And it's brought to you by Courts, Sports World and Vodafone, supporters of the Fiji FA and the OFC Champions League.
And he also got the Dangi support out there to kick Dangi out, Gordon. That's been creating a lot of people who have been on over 7,000, 8,000. The number keeps growing daily. The Dangi, that you know what they were saying, they didn't expect that. Normally you used to have dengue fever, but not to this extent here, with I think approximately 4 deaths also.
That's sad to hear, but speaking with representatives of UNICEF Pacific yesterday and the Fijian Ministry of Health, they are very, very happy with the exposure and the raised awareness that this joint campaign between the OFC and
UNICEF, I think.
UNICEF Pacific and the Fijian government has brought locally. Certainly in this humid climate and with stagnant water.
It's interesting because this mosquito bites only during the day. That's the interesting stats about it.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Here's Simon. Gives it straight back to Amicale. Sakama. Is there a twist in the tail of this match? And Roche comes out. Time running out for Dragon. 4.5 minutes to go.
And there's all sorts of medicines that's been prescribed by even the so-called medics. Ever heard of papaya leaf? The
yes,
pawpaw
I have
leaf.
heard of pawpaw leaf.
The green pawpaw leaf is one sort of medicine, they say. Squeezing that without water or anything, and drinking that. Well, they do say that the papaya leaf has a lot of medicine, but that's not for me to say. I'm not a doctor. You can ask me about football. I would be better to tell you on that.
As am I, Raymond.
Yeah.
Less than 4 minutes of normal time to go. And Sakama's run into Tiata Simon, and it's a free kick for Dragon. Well, Ludovic Graugnard, the coach of AS Dragon, is going to want to see this match in replay, and particularly that shout for a penalty. Dominic Fred earns a goal kick. Precious seconds ticking away for Dragon. Amicale will just want to see this game out. Secure victory. And at least for an hour sit top of this group. A reminder, of course, that we have another game coming up for you at 4 o'clock. It's the match between Auckland City FC and Nandi FC.
Yeah, the Nandi side and the Bar side have been sponsored by Vodafone with a handsome $50,000 to prepare for this tournament, Gordon.
That's a very handy sum of money. Nangaletha. Still going Nangaletha. Kagonia's fallen, and Kensi Tangis can wrap this all up for Amicale. Well,
he hesitates again.
He's wasted it.
He's wasted it. He could have gone all the way on his own.
An absolutely wasted chance by Kensi Tangis. Nathan Hall is beside himself in the dugout.
He could have sealed it.
Pierre Kagonia was completely out of the picture. Edson Lemaire's the closest defender, and he shapes to shoot. Oh, and another chance for Tangis. Good save by Michael Roche. Back with the action. Well, two chances. One of them took place during the replay, and it was Kensi Tangis again who got through. Michael Roche pulled off a quite wonderful save. Here's another look at it. Good turn by Tangis. Again, Pierre Kagonia getting beaten, and then the shot and save. So Amicale have had opportunities to kill Dragon off. They haven't taken them.
What he did with that second shot, they should have done in the earlier shot.
Exactly.
In the earlier chance.
Roche gets the ball forward quickly. Won by Dordovic. Kagonia confused, and Milan Matic is away. He hasn't got a lot of pace. Roche has had to come out of his penalty area to deal with it. Graugnard gives it straight back to Colin Marshall. Here's Nangaletha. Tangis. And offside. I have to say that Didier Muzo, the assistant referee from New Caledonia, has had a great game. He hasn't got one wrong today.
Yep.
Less than a minute of normal time left. Dragon running out of time to retrieve this situation. Their Champions League hopes will be hanging by a thread after this result. They'll need to at least get a point off of Auckland City. Well, something they have done in the past, of course. But based on today's performance, perhaps you might think that any repeat of that may be asking too much. A minimum of 2 minutes additional time, perhaps.
Yeah, they want to keep the ball down in this half of the ground, the Amical side. That's the instructions from their coach.
Nathan Hall saying to Milan Matic to get back. Here's Dordovic. Tangis. Well, they could have been 2-0 up. They could have conceded a penalty, Amicale. Tejo. Nice touch. Jonathan Tejo. Good ball in. Mansale read it well.
Read it well.
So we're into additional time. Ludovic Graugnard looks on from the technical area for Dragon, somewhat forlornly. 2 balls on the pitch at the moment. Play continues. Headed on by Alvin Tejo. Onsale gets things going again. David Taloni. Gerald Oyaka is looking at his watch. Namatak. Now Taloni. Sakama. Oh, he's offside.
Offside. He says no.
Nathan Hall is screaming at his Amicale players to get back in and occupy some space. They're so close to an opening victory in the OFC Champions League. They just want this watch to run down.
Yeah. It will be crucial for them in this pool.
Edson Lemaire. Gralia. He's won a throw. He's going to have to take it quickly.
We're on added time already.
Yes, we're in added time. Saleh. It's all over. Nathan Hall punches the air with delight in the technical area. There's high fives all around the Amicale bench. The Francois Sakama goal has paid to AS Dragons' opening match hopes. And you can see there the delight of the Vanuatu supporters, the Amicale supporters.
And the Vanuatu coach shaking hands with.
It's a different story down there for AS Dragon. Beaten. They haven't won in their last 3 matches in the Champions League. 2 draws with Auckland, Mondor, and now a defeat to Amicale. Let's take a look back at the highlights of the first half. No, sorry, the second half. 52 minutes. This opportunity set up by Alvin Tejo, and Teanui just couldn't get the ball on target. Really should have done much better than that. 6 minutes later, corner wound into the far post. Header straight at the goalkeeper. An easy one for Mansale, and good positioning by the goalie as well. On the hour mark, Amicale had this opportunity. Ball hoisted in. Mikael Roche got his lines wrong, but fortunately for him, the header from Jack Whitney was off target. Whitney, though, had to go off with an injury shortly after that. Lovely ball by Colin Marshall. Again, the creator of much of Amicale's opportunities today. Then 6 minutes later, this ball again from Marshall wound in. The header from Vasilic off target. But where was the aerial defence from AS Dragon? It was nowhere to be found. Then with 11 minutes left, Milan Matic did all the hard work to get into a goal-scoring position, and then I'm not sure what he was thinking, whether that was a cross or a pass. It just swiveled the hips, but the right foot shot was fairly poor, and he knows it. This was a great opportunity. Amicale could have been home and dry. Well, they nearly got through again. Francois Sakama. First touch was good. He beat Simon with it and then clips that little ball through for Silas Namatak. Mikael Roche with some good goalkeeping. Then 2 minutes left. This turn from Kensi Tangis. He'd earlier missed a one-on-one. Great save from Mikael Roche. Pierre Kagonia was beaten all ends up. And it was a difficult angle to score from. So we can go sideline with Jacqueline Tranvan, who has Ludovic Galnier of AS Dragon.
Ludovic, malheureusement, vous avez perdu ce match. Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé sur le terrain aujourd'hui?
Disons je pense qu'on est passé réellement à côté de notre première mi-temps dans l'agressivité. On a perdu la conquête du milieu de terrain, donc ça a été très compliqué pour nous. À partir du moment où on prend un premier but rapidement, Amical était très bien en place. C'était très compliqué de contourner leur bloc. On s'est fait prendre en contre-attaque. Voilà, donc si on fait le meilleur entame de match aujourd'hui, comme on fait la deuxième mi-temps, je pense qu'à la fin, le score n'est pas le même. Voilà, maintenant on paye ces mauvais entames de match et on amenuise très fortement nos chances de qualification parce qu'elle devient très réduite dans cette compétition où on n'a quasiment pas droit à l'erreur.
Et pour le prochain match, qu'est-ce que vous allez faire pour changer
Déjà, je pense qu'il faut recharger les batteries mentales parce que quand on perd le premier match et qu'on sait qu'on n'a pas beaucoup droit à l'erreur, mentalement ça se complique. Donc voilà, maintenant les garçons doivent se mettre dans la peau où on n'a plus rien à espérer, ou très peu de chance à espérer, donc il va falloir jouer librement contre Clan City qui est l'autre favori de la poule. Voilà, après sur le plan du jeu, on va voir le match de Auckland ce que ça donne pour voir comment on peut contrer cette équipe-là.
Ok, merci Ludwig.
Has some grounds to reflect on a moment where his team may well have had a penalty. We can rejoin Jack Will and Tranvan, who's with Amicale coach Nathan Hall.
Nathan, a 1-0 victory for your side today. You happy with how this went out on the field?
Yeah, very happy. Pleasing result. Very tough game physically. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Very demanding conditions. I thought we were the better team in the first half. As the game went on, they came back into the game a little bit stronger, and probably towards the end it was an even battle. But just really proud and delighted for the players to get off to a good start and get 3 points. It gives everybody a big boost, and hopefully we can carry that into Nandi and Auckland City, that confidence. Yeah.
And for that next match, how are you approaching that one?
I'll watch the game now between Nandi and Auckland, take some notes, and analyse and see their weak points and their strong points, and we'll recover tomorrow. Tomorrow will be some, recovery in the morning, the afternoon as well, and we'll look into Nandi tomorrow night. Again, it's going to be a tough game. They're at home. They've got home support. They're going to be very motivated. So we need to probably lift another 5 to 10% to get 3 points in that match.
Excellent. Thanks, Nathan.
Thanks very much. It's bloody heavy.
So a very satisfied Amicale coach Nathan Hall. A debut victory for him as a coach in the OFC Champions League. On behalf of myself, Gordon Watson, and my colleague Raymond Stoddart, we'll bid you a temporary farewell and rejoin us in just under an hour's time for the second match of Group B. It's Auckland City, the defending champions, against Nandi, who return to Oceania's top table after a 15-year absence.